Welcome to the Cult Film Showdown's controversial Saturday morning cartoon series. We are taking a break from our search for the ultimate B movie and looking at 1980s cartoons that were based on R-rated properties. And I'm your host, Jim Cotta. I am joined by my co-host, Nick Boxer.
Hoorah! Was that in was that in this? I don't.
And
I really thought it was a Marine thing, and then I thought I don't remember that if our Marines in this or our Space Marines did that. Oh well, doesn't matter.
And just finishing off his box of C-3POs is Jack Hall.
Oh, delicious. Let me tell you something. I think that hoorah wasn't a scent of a woman. Like, that's not even a...
That's a hoo-ah.
Military at all.
Hoo-ah is what you got there.
Hoo-ah. Okay.
No,
Marine
is a completely different thing.
Well, either way, I am excited to talk to you gentlemen about a couple more shows that we've done. First episode up here, I think, is going to be very interesting to get your takes on.
Yes, so this is our fifth of a 8-episode series, and this time we are looking at the 1999 Roughnecks, the Starship Troopers Chronicles. And Nick, tell us what the heck this is.
This is a questionably animated a version of the movie Starship Troopers, based off of the movie rather than anything in the novel. And in this, we have a group of roughnecks being deployed to Pluto. I'm Nick.
That is good, pretty decent summary, actually.
Yeah, being deployed to Pluto to fight a war against the bugs. And that's really all that happens. This first episode isn't much of a episode, rather than a recap of the movie to sort of get people in to the series. I may get a little confused because I watched the first story arc, which is 5 episodes long. But in this first episode, we're basically just being introduced to some of the tech, our characters, and then being dropped on Pluto and meeting a couple bugs and getting our asses kicked on Pluto.
Jack, do you want to give us a bit of context on the property Starship Troopers for our younger listeners?
I always forget this movie is like 25 years old now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is based largely on this property is based largely upon the movie, which is what was that? Come out in 98, did it? I believe.
Something like that. Yeah, it'd be 98, I think.
Yeah. There is some elements from the novel, of course, in there. It largely the concept of what this series is how would I put it? They took you mentioned 5 episodes in the first story arc, and there's a total of 8 story arcs there's supposed to be. It was 40 episodes for the series, and each was supposed to be a 5-episode story arc on a different planet, following just the campaigns that those troopers were doing on that planet. It is characters from the book and the movie who have been tweaked slightly, timeline-wise, and basically removing a lot of the politics that were involved in the book, which are nowadays very, very out of date, and in the movie, which is a more interesting watch from the politics side. What can I say? Like, for instance, like, women were not allowed in the army in the book. And they were in the movie and they are in the series, but that's the type of mindset that the author had. This is 40 episodes, as I mentioned. They only completed 36 of them, so they have 4 episodes which are clip shows, including 3 episodes of the 5-part final campaign, So if you like this series, that a lot of people did, you'll never get a conclusion. Despite the popularity of the DVDs, they never did a movie or anything like that to wrap it up. There's tons of production problems with this series. Production, they sold it into syndication way too early before they had enough episodes produced. So other companies were coming in producing them, and then the clip shows, as we mentioned, and it had trouble in its time slot, being shown between 5 and 6 a.m. Mainly in syndication, which is not ideal to find an audience. But despite that, it's very well thought of by its fans, and it has a very dedicated fan following. And the animation itself, I mean, you have to look at the year, but it's not spectacular. But it's a little more mature than most of the cartoons that we've been looking at here. It's probably designed for kids age 10 and up, and it's pretty good quality. It's too bad about all the issues that it had.
This thing, to me, I mean, even for the dated technology, to me looks ugly as sin. I can easily see myself flipping past this when it was on and not sticking around long enough to actually get it, just like actually be absorbed in the story. Because I think it's a better show than the animation would lead you to believe.
For the era rushed for TV syndication, I'd probably not be too hard on it, but it's not the best looking, no.
No, I mean, I had trouble telling some of the girl characters from the boy characters when not watching absolutely intently. The faces all look the same.
Well, you have trouble in real life with that too. So let's, no, but if there's anything I missed, James, feel free and fill it in.
I think the one thing I want to go back to is there's a strangeness in how they're introducing this, because at first I thought it was a sequel to the film, but it's not. Because they also say that this is Rico and Dizzy's. Is it Dizzy or Desi?
Dizzy.
Dizzy. It's their first drop, which means it can't be a sequel to the first to the movie. So
and she died in.
Yeah,
it's a separate narrative. It's a separate narrative from either the or the movie.
But it has that like Lynch Dune problem where you don't have enough context if you haven't seen the movie or read the book. And if you have seen the movie or read the book, you're confused about where you're supposed to be. Like I kept waiting for them to kind of in an episode that is almost nothing but narration. I still didn't feel like they really explained where we're at in the war. Other than like it sounds like there was one battle. Maybe they come back to that, but I kind of didn't find my place in it quite early enough. I did definitely miss the influence of Michael Ironside on the team. As Nick said, it's actually a 5-episode arc. These probably would have been packaged to go Monday to Friday. So it does have more of a break than I would expect if it was they planned it was going to be just compile them into 5. Because the G.I. Joe that were built like that don't have those clear like finale, close it down kind of moments that this does. Because I watched I watched a bit of the second episode, and it was very much like later also on Pluto, where we're on the planet to fight bugs, etc., etc. It is.
These were daily. These were not aired daily. They were aired weekly. So, but still, the 5 episode. Yeah, the 5 episode, and the same thing. Like even in the DVDs, for instance, they came out based on popularity of the campaign, not in order. So those are out of order, and
Oh,
Like you say, a clip show in the middle of something to. So the narrative is definitely difficult to follow.
mhm.
The I get the feeling if I sat down and watched all 40, I would be I'd get into the narrative, I'd start to follow it, and I'd really enjoy it, and then be frustrated as hell that I don't get the finale, that I don't get the ending, and that it would leave on a cliffhanger that'll last forever. So for that reason, I'm like going out of my way to avoid watching episode 2 any further.
It's interesting when you brought that up. I thought if I continued watching, I would just stop at the last arc that had an ending and just call it a day. I so hate it when there's not an actual ending of any sort, um, especially when there's an ongoing narrative. But yeah, I think I would call it quits one episode, like that last arc, as opposed to the little bit. I'm sure that somewhere a writer has summarized what that series would have. Mhm.
There's like 3 different DVDs. One of them, not the box set, I think the original one, which released the campaigns on one disc
Mm.
individually, I believe. Uh, the last 3 clip shows, the director of the show or producer, someone goes through and talks about what would have happened in these 3 episodes if
Oh,
they had continued the story arc. So it is there.
oh, neat.
And I'm sure it's been summarized on the internet
Yeah.
from that as well. So it is there, but that's hardly satisfying.
Now, actually, did anyone else feel the inclusion of the reporter character was a little bit odd? It sort of worked against their whole social commentary thing that the movie had, because that reporter is like an embedded actual journalist. Yet we still get
Like I
these
say,
clips of IGN or whatever their broadcast propaganda network is.
well, they are, like I say, trying to remove the social commentary from it and just concentrate on the action, the characters, and the campaign. That was the
I still
intention
thought some of
of
that was there, though. I mean, it is toned down from the novel, definitely, but there is some there. I mean, they are talking about citizenship and like that.
It kind of at a high level, because I mean, one of the interesting things about the film is that it's not viewed from the same political point of view as the novel. And I mean, Verhoeven was known for uh, satirizing these things. And I mean, the early views of Starship Troopers, uh, people didn't get that it was supposed to be a joke. That things like the recruitment videos and the ads and the news were all parodies
Don't forget the
of.
shower scene.
Well, the shower scene is just good fun. Like that's. I
Oh
mean, that
yeah,
might
but
be
I
the
mean, it's
most
a
for
commentary on how nudity in action films is.
that may be the most Paul Verhoeven scene that's ever been Verhoeven.
so unnecessarily for Verhoeven. Yes, absolutely. Verhoeven, by the way, I do believe was executive producer on the cartoon. So perhaps maybe that's where something bled in. But you're right. It is amazing to me, thinking back on the movie, that people didn't see that as parody. Because it's so over the top right away. Those videos and everything. It's like, it's amazing to me that people didn't catch on to that.
It was a strange time. Like I mean, this is only a couple of years after Natural Born Killers that had exactly the same problem. It was like people mistook a parody for the thing that it was. Well, satirize, I guess, a satire for what is satirizing. Uh, but yeah, you have these. It took a while before like the kind of public at large understood that, and it started to get a different lens on it. Yeah, like Nick said, it's very like it's got those elements of citizenship and sign up, and uh, we were all happy to sign up. There's no dig down, at least in the bit I've watched.
And I don't
I
think you'll get
definitely
any
watch
at all.
this over any of the 4, I think, sequels that they've direct to DVD sequels.
Well, that's not saying much.
No, they're terrible.
That's not saying much. No, the direct to DVD sequels are. Well, maybe someday we'll dig into those because they certainly are. I haven't seen all 4, but they're certainly interesting.
That that might be an
But
interesting run. The 4
Yeah,
sequels and
good.
another couple of movies of this.
But I did enjoy it. I did find it surprisingly violent for, a cartoon still that's being shown Saturday mornings and that type of thing. Um, I mean, I did think, like I say, if I could have gotten a finishing, I would definitely probably, if I could get a finish, I would definitely probably watch it. But as it is, it's more of a curiosity, a one-off curiosity for me personally. I don't really have a ton left to say about it. Was there any toys? I did not see if there were any toys from this
None worth mentioning. I did like the mech designs on this one. It was nice to see original designs rather than rehashes of Alien or anything like that. The mechs look good.
I guess this came pretty fast after the film, so it'd be it might be difficult. Like there might be a bit of overlap between stuff from the film and then stuff that was coming for the
No, that
animated.
was a problem they had though with the original script is they didn't want to seem like a ripoff of Alien, so they didn't include any of the mechs. But this had mechs, so it was nice to see them there, and they were decent designs.
There was, I understand, from what I remember, quite a few mechs in the book. I never made it
Yeah.
through the whole book. I tried, not knowing what I was getting myself into. I assumed it would be like the movie. It wasn't. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I believe there was mech designs in the novel that we didn't really see in the movie, that we do see some different variations of here in the cartoon.
And
Yeah,
they added them in the second of the sequels as well. Although they were god awful in that low budget crap.
give you some context. The first movie was big, and you could get a hot actor like Casper Van Dien. And by the fourth movie, they were really going to the bottom of the barrel and could get an actor like Casper Van Dien.
Yeah.
I read an article while watching this that he was actually cast as a joke because they wanted it to feel like a propaganda film, so they needed a bad actor to star in the original movie.
That sounds more mean than true, to be honest.
Yeah. And yet it's plausible.
Yeah, I won't outright say that that's not true.
No, because if you're locking bad actors, you definitely nailed it.
I could see putting in a pretty boy though, as your poster boy. That just one last thing on the reporter, because yeah, he's like Joe Exposition is his job, and did you get a feeling of when he's talking about this? Like the narration at times seems to be fairly recent, but he also says things like, Johnny Rico was this guy to watch, and what happened later, kind of thing, like as if it's 20 years later.
I hated him enough that I was actually, after I watched the first few, I tried skipping ahead to different points in other story arcs, just trying to find a place where he wasn't in the show.
That's dying for a fan edit right there.
Oh, it's impossible, man. He's the one that lives.
He's embedded in the story as much as he's embedded in the team. All right, well, let's wrap this one up. Starship Troopers, the Starship Troopers Chronicles, Roughnecks : and we watched this on YouTube, which has a bunch of different versions. I don't believe it's on any streaming currently, but look for it in your DVD dollar bins. I'm sure those are findable. And this is the Cult Film Showdown. You can find us on Instagram and on Patreon. Support our work and If you pay enough, you can suggest what the heck we're going to watch next because we haven't figured it out. We are sponsored by WeTalkPodcasts.com, the home of the Octagon, the search for our ultimate B movie. And they host some other great shows, and you can find We Talk Podcasts on Facebook and on Twitter.
X.
Yeah, it's
X.
okay. You can find them on twitter.com. You changed your name to an unpronounceable symbol, but we're still going to call you Prince, to be honest. All right. And next up for us will be the 1993 Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Adventurer TV series. We will talk to you next time. Welcome to the Masters of... Oh, no. I lost my notes, and I'm going to have to... Apparently, I have to start from there. Just about to invite everyone to the Masters of Horror. Let me try that again.